till now we have discussed about the memory system and the input-output system in computer organization. Next we shall discuss about the processor unit. So how do a computer system performs any specific task? By executing a program for it. This program will be written by some programmer, and initially it may be kept on the disk or on some input-output device, but ultimately it has to be brought to the main memory for execution, and the processor executes it. So how do the processor execute it? The program consists of a series of instructions. These individual instructions are brought into the processor, means one by one the instructions are fetched to the processor, and within the processor that instruction is decoded to understand what all operations that instruction intends to do and whether any data required for those operations. If some data required, then those data are also fetched from the memory to the processor, and finally the instruction is executed and the results are stored back to the memory. Again, the next instruction is fetched to the processor. Within the processor, that instruction is decoded, executed, and so on. So in order to perform these tasks, which are the functional units required within the processor? We bring each instruction to the processor, and also if some data required for its execution, those data are also brought into the processor. But where do we keep it? In order to keep the instruction and the data within the processor, we need a small memory within the processor. And that memory can be small since we keep small amount of data, and that memory should be fast since now we are in the processing phase. That small and fast memory used within the processor are the registers. Now one instruction is brought into the processor and we have kept it in one register. Now that instruction has to be decoded. In order to decode the instruction, we need an instruction decoder and control unit which can decode the instruction and produce the necessary control and timing signal to control all the operations corresponding to that decoded instruction. And while decoding the instruction, it may be realized that the instruction involves some arithmetic or logic operation. So we need an ALU, arithmetic and logic unit, to perform those operations. So these are the basic functional units required within the processor. Registers to keep the instruction and the data, and also to keep track of the program. ALU to perform the arithmetic and logic operations, and the control unit which produces the necessary control signal to control the entire data flow within the processor and also to and from the processor. And this entire processing unit is connected to the memory system and the input-output system using the external bus. And within the processor, these functional units are interconnected using an internal processor bus. In the next video, let's have a more detailed view of the internal organization of the processor.